Caitlin.
And I'm Kylie.
And we're coming live straight from the Hive. For this episode, we thought it would be a good idea, coming off of that social media management conversation in our prior episode about all the different social media channels, how we use them organically, how we use them in a paid manner, and then ultimately how we work in all those channels into our content strategy. Why don't we start off with that? First of all, how do we know what channel is best to use? Do you want to kick it off?
When diving into what social media channels are going to work for you and your company and picking the lanes you're going to operate in on social media, a great place to start is taking a step back and looking at your goals of why you're even on social media to begin with. So I would say some of the most popular goals are building brand awareness, lead generation, engaging your community. So a great place to start is just taking a step back, looking at what you're trying to accomplish. And then based on those goals, you can really start to build a content strategy, which would of course include the platforms you're going to work on. And I think another thing to really set that foundation to make that decision would be defining who your target audience is, because that's really going to determine where those people are, what kind of content do they like, what platforms are they spending the most time on, where's your best chance of finding that perfect person who you're looking to engage with on social media.
And in addition to, before really diving into your content strategy or actually finalizing it and building it, a really important part is competitor and market research. And what you're doing here for social media purposes specifically is, one, for market research, taking a look at, okay, what do people in the audience for this market, what are they looking to accomplish through social media? Are they looking for results? Are they looking for value? Are they looking for entertainment? All depending on what type of business in the market it is. And then when you're looking at a competitor research, okay, so these are the competitors in my space. They might be direct competitors or just nationally known competitors. And then taking a look at what platforms and channels are they present on as well. If it's a lifestyle brand, what are they doing on Instagram? What are they doing on Facebook? What are they doing on Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, etc.? And honestly, we do this in all of our engagements before doing a content strategy, really taking a look at the competition. And our thought process behind that is, if our major competitors, and then also just local competitors as well, if they're running with something on social media, they have a good following, they have good engagement, chances are that they've already gone through the content testing period for their business and have determined Instagram is worth their time, Facebook is worth their time, whatever channels that they're currently on are worth their time. And then from there, what type of content is actually being posted on these channels. So we can take a look at, they've decided that testimonials work amazing for them. So we think that that's because they tested, and in that audience, the same type of audience we're looking for, testimonials are received really well for that type of context. So we'll use this not as a direct clone copy, but when we're looking to build that greater content strategy and we're determining the platforms, using other people's data and tests as a foundation for us. Because even though they might be on 7 different channels, we might decide, right now we want to prioritize 1 to 3 different channels to make sure there's some diversification, but we're not just copying exactly what they do. Because at the end of the day, they could be the same exact type of business, the same exact type of audience, but both of the businesses are different because of the people involved, the value propositions involved. They're not going to be exact clone copy that are going to get the same exact results. So before you really dive into what channels you want to use specifically, you really need to do that upfront research and then build the content strategy. Let's chat about all the different channels. We can talk about the organic side of each of the channels. And then, of course, we do paid ads as well. So we can talk about the paid versions. But really, let's just go down the list of all the different channels we use. So let's start off with Instagram. And we're going to start off with organic. And I think we could just chat about all the things that we've learned so far and how best to grow, how to best build a community on these channels. So you want to kick off with Instagram?
Sure. a quick disclaimer is that these are things that we've seen and tested and they've worked with the accounts, but like you were saying with the competitors, it's never a carbon copy. Even client to client, there's things that are our bread and butter for one client that would just tank for another. So I think just keep everything with a grain of salt and just know that just because it's working on one account doesn't mean it'll necessarily resonate with another's audience and that sort of thing. So
good point. Just great point.
Put that disclaimer out there. So start off with Instagram. Right now, Instagram is a very love-hate relationship. I feel like a lot of social media managers have. They're in a stage right now, I would say they're growing and changing a lot. So it can be a little frustrating to try to keep up with all of those changes. But as it is today, because in a month from now, things could be completely different. Yeah. But right now, just taking a look at Instagram, you have your feed posts, the static images on your grid. You have Instagram stories, Instagram reels, Instagram lives. I don't even know what they call it nowadays. Live video on Instagram. So those are the main components that make up Instagram. And I would say each of those components within the platform need to have their own strategy and thought process behind them, because what's going to work on your story shouldn't really be on your grid, shouldn't be a reel. And so each of these different components of Instagram all have their own purpose. Even though they're all under your Instagram account, they all have their unique things that they're accomplishing for you. So for example, we see Reels as a really great way to start your marketing funnel and find new eyes, because there's so much discoverability with Reels right now. I think at least for our clients and our social media, they're taking off way faster than TikTok is, for example. They're doing what TikTok was doing 6 months ago maybe. And just there's a lot of trends, opportunities to go viral, and just like I said, use the sounds and the hashtags and the actual visual component of your reel to gain a lot of new eyes in a really easy manner. And then I would say your feed, your stories, your DMs, your comments are all really for that middle to end stage of funnel, where now you've gotten those new people and you're nurturing them, you're engaging with them, you're creating content that they want to save and share. That's another thing. There's all the different engagement options on Instagram. So we all know the like, comment, but likes are not shallow, but I feel like saves are just a more...
It boosts the algorithm.
Yes. Instagram really cares about those saves, which is true to anything. Like anytime there's a new Instagram feature, as soon as you use it, Instagram's algorithm is going to boost you using that. So Reels, for example, is one of the newer forms. So people always say that once you're using those new things they have, the algorithm's going to notice that you're engaging with its products, and it's going to reward you for that in a weird way.
I think I found the one thing that doesn't apply to that. Everything else, yes, applies to that. I've been trying this dang invite a collaborator thing with a client for so long, and it tanked our views. It really tanked. And we were doing reels consistently in the thousands, getting tons of likes and stuff like that. And then we started that. I don't know if you tried that. Have you tried to invite a collaborator?
I actually have not used that for any of my clients yet.
Yeah, I think it's because it's with our physical therapy client, and so like the physical therapist will use their physical therapy account and then invite the business account, and so it's a unique. A lot of people use it for brand deals and such.
Influencers.
Like, influencers will use it. So maybe that was the intended purpose of it, is to make so that an influencer posts it on their channel, but there was no way to really connect it back to the
brand.
Yeah, to the brand's clients, also recognizing that face. So that's a good solution for that. Maybe they weren't expecting a physical therapy account with 6,000 followers. They're thinking more for the big guys, but that's the only one that I've had. I don't know. It's just not good results on that one.
And I feel like that proves the point of just testing, trying.
Reels is one that we've had to try a lot on too.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about TikTok next, but we learned that when you try to do TikTok trends on Instagram, that doesn't work either. And then also hashtags with the reels we've been playing a lot around with. There's just like so many different parts of Instagram, from the story, on the stories, there's the engagement tools that you use on the story. Did you know, I don't know if you have ever noticed this, because we look at our analytics, even on our own personal accounts, we have them set to business, so we can look at the analytics of our stories and our posts too, and you get less viewership if you repost something. Have you noticed that?
I don't know if I really have.
So I'll post something from our account, and then I'll post a picture of my dog on my story, and because I posted our picture first, I have probably almost 700 something followers, and I'll get maybe 100 views because I posted our story first. But if I post a picture of Phoebe first, and then I'll get 200 views on Phoebe, and then about 100, because I think it puts you in the order, like, people want to see original content.
Just organic content.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I have to think about that next time I share.
Yeah.
So sorry to anyone following me. My whole Instagram story is just reposts, client stuff, our stuff. Yeah. Just like a little bulletin board of everything we're doing.
So sometimes I won't post. If I know that we have a podcast episode coming up and I want to post like a countdown for it, I'll make sure to post that. And if I have anything else, I'll save it for later. If I post a reel of my dog or something from her account, or even a reel from us, I'll make sure to post the original piece first before. Because even if it's 21 hours later, you're still in the back queue of the storyline. And so they don't even see, only the 70 people who have looked at your story, they'll see your next story instead of all the 100 more people. Odd.
That's so weird.
So weird, but I guess it makes sense because people want to see, like, they didn't follow you to see other people's like, stuff, I guess.
That's another thing we do. Like you were saying, we use our personal accounts to test. Yeah. Like for the podcast, we post a reel every time there's a new episode, and some in between, obviously, but there's always one announcing the new episode, like a summary. And so I don't know if you're still doing this, but like I'll post the same video to my account, and we'll just tweak hashtags or caption just to try to note like all those little things. Because I feel like Instagram, there's just so much, like you're saying. Forgot to put the caption on that reel. You lost 500 views. The littlest thing can change the content's
It's so strange.
success. Yeah,
like so you have to have your captions in there, not your closed captions.
Closed captions,
like the word. So you have to have that. That is a universal thing now. You have to have trending music. And I've heard some people be like, oh, do original audio, but it only works if people like that audio and want to use it, so that's tricky. So we use popular songs right now, and Instagram's a little bit more forgiving than TikTok is. They'll let you use popular sounds. Hashtags, we're finding almost less is more.
Yes.
If your hashtags are exactly about what you're talking about, that can boost it up more. But it's also funny because I use a ton of on my dog's account. I use a ton of corgi related ones, and that always gets them pretty boosted. But I feel like they're all about the same thing. So all the hashtags mention corgi in it. Whereas like when we're doing social media podcasts, marketing podcasts, it's different. Like those would be different audiences. So really keeping your hashtags really on to what the context is.
Yeah, you don't want to like confuse the algorithm and be like, okay, wait, is this a digital marketing agency or is this an entrepreneurship podcast? Even though you can use up to 30 hashtags, and there's so many things you can hashtag that are technically relevant, but it really should be that specific post, like what you're actually talking about today. But I will say, I feel like Instagram has the highest discoverability.
Yeah,
the
really
explore page is such a unique thing. Obviously, TikTok now has the For You page, but in terms of looking at all the other like OG social platforms, like Facebook isn't doing that. The hashtags aren't going to get you as far. Obviously, we can get into, but I feel like Instagram is the best place for new eyes. Your best chance grabbing a new audience.
And you know what's funny that you say that, because with the Explore page, it's a big question of, okay, how do I even get onto the Explore page? But what is it? Is he the CEO of Instagram, that guy? He was like...
Masseri.
Is his name Adam?
Yeah, Masseri.
He said something along the lines of that Instagram, that you don't need to use hashtags. And so some people have been like, oh yeah, I just showed up on the Explore page. But if you already have a big following, yes, you're going to show up. And so using hashtags is actually really important. All the ones that we've done, we've used hashtags, and we've gotten videos with how many views for that Blue Ocean?
I think 35,000.
Yeah, crazy. How many hashtags do you have on that one?
Oh, I'd have to check, but not many.
Not many, yeah?
No, for sure not more than 10.
Yeah, so it's just, yes, you need the hashtags to show up on people's explore page, or you need to be using keywords and alt text so Instagram even knows what you're talking about. And now that we have talked a little bit about TikTok already, it just seems natural. So TikTok is definitely, I don't even know how to describe TikTok. It's just a world of unknown at this point, because
it's like the Wild West of social media.
It really is. It is like the Wild West. So TikTok is very, I would say, unpredictable for those who are not familiar. And we've been on TikTok for a while. I'd say there are best practices that we can follow and such. We haven't been so into TikTok because right now, honestly, we've been focusing a lot of reels because what TikTok was 6 to 2 years ago, they were putting anything and everything out there. It was a great opportunity to grow. So many businesses boomed on TikTok during the pandemic. It was really like the pandemic's pastime. And so now Instagram is trying to beat TikTok and doing the same exact thing, putting your videos out there, really having them grow. So we're kind of taking advantage of what's going on right now. But with TikTok, it still holds true where trends are really what's going to get you more views. I think the authenticity of TikTok is really good. They like the real and the raw. And then there's just so many different avenues of TikTok you can go down to. The education, the inspirational, the entertainment side of it, the value add. You can do so many different things, and there's so many different niches for people to choose from.
And I think, just as I was saying with Instagram, like, the different pieces of Instagram kind of work as the different stages of the marketing funnel. Like, same thing for TikTok, but not necessarily with TikTok. It's really just posting the videos, and it's more so what type of content it is versus the different Instagram story versus reel versus feed post. Now they have the stories, but who's really paying attention to those? I think that's going to be a short-lived thing. But in terms of the content you're posting, like you're saying, using trends, I think is the top way to just get out there, get discovered, grow your brand awareness, get your brand's name out there. And then once you're reeling them in with using those trending sounds or just the funny trends, then you start posting educational content, whatever it is to your industry. For us, we have trends using Encanto sounds. Obviously, Disney has nothing to do with us, but then we have videos going through creating a content calendar and creating a content strategy and really like valuable content to engage those people that we lassoed in using those sounds that were blowing up. Obviously, Instagram, you do the same thing with the content, but there's just more features to play around with. So I think on TikTok, it's really what you're talking about that's going to, in the best way, predict how it's going to turn out. But like you were saying, it's really hard to predict how anything is going to perform on there.
I think the only thing that is really consistent on TikTok is consistency. So you have to show up. So if we were to propose, we really think TikTok is a good avenue for us to go down, we should really test it out, you have to be posting every single day on it. Maybe some people have said like multiple times a day, because TikTok really rewards those who are actively and constantly putting out content on their platform, because obviously they want content on their platform, so they will boost you up, and then the more that they send you out, the more people like and engage with their content. That's how you go. It really only takes one viral video to really continue to push you out there. And so if you are interested in using TikTok, which we honestly suggest, it's just really, it's hard because it's a commitment. You have to be filming constantly, but you can also repurpose a lot of content. So if you were to be making a podcast like this and splicing it up and putting everything on TikTok, that's what we do with our reels, is we also put them on TikTok too. If you're thinking of new ideas, or you just have an idea pop up and you just film it, that's another way. It can be very organic. It doesn't have to be spliced and diced and video production. It can just be a real authentic video. But yeah, I would say TikTok is one of the ones that it was really awesome for a while to just push things out, and then now it's getting a little bit harder just because there's so much stuff out there. We're personally reels people right now just because of the times, but who knows what will happen. Maybe TikTok will start getting more friendly with that and boosting little guys to help them really boom a bit. And then You want to talk a little bit about Facebook?
Yeah, I feel like the polar opposite from the newest kid on the block to one of the oldest. I think that's the reputation of Facebook, is it's the older crowd. So just as they're linked, like Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, we usually have pretty similar strategies for Instagram and Facebook. We connect them as similar platforms. Obviously, the audiences can be different and the specific content, but in terms of looking at the whole list of platforms, I would say they're the most alike in a way that you can group them. And to me, I don't think on Facebook you're going to get a lot of new eyes, but you're really going to nurture and engage with the audience you have. It's more about community.
Yeah.
There's Facebook groups where you can go in for groups on your industry or topics you're interested in. So we definitely always recommend that clients are on Facebook, just because at this point, who doesn't have a Facebook anymore? And especially if people are using it to look up a business, almost like a Yelp.
Or ads.
Facebook
if you have ads, I would say you should have a digital footprint.
Yes.
We'll go into ads more. If somebody clicks on your ad and they're trying to go to your profile, if you have nothing on your profile, that looks a little bad.
Yeah, so it's really important to maintain it and keep up that presence. I would just say don't expect 1 million likes on your Facebook profile.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump into LinkedIn?
Yes. I actually am a big fan of LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is still trying to figure out what exactly LinkedIn is supposed to be for, because there's definitely a mixture of people starting to trickle more into the emotional side of being a person and such. So what's the fine line between Facebook and LinkedIn?
Yes.
But LinkedIn at its core will always be more of a business platform compared to the other ones. It would be the most business platform compared to Yelp, maybe. But in terms of people connecting with one another because they are all in the business industry and finding like-minded individuals or interested in their careers, that's the place for it. And so what we're finding works well, because a lot of my clients are on LinkedIn. And so what we're finding is a lot of employee branding working really well, celebrating the client or celebrating the business is really popular as well. What's going on, even though it's not business resources and articles and such, just having that human element goes far. For a couple of clients, we'll share employee spotlights or articles about an individual specifically, so adding in that human piece, but also being very educational at the same time, and those do wonder. So I think that those lines are starting to fade where it's such a business forward, we're only doing business, but if you have clients that are very B2B, LinkedIn is the place to be, and you'll want to make content specifically for that audience, but also that engagement about the back end. The employee branding is also really important because LinkedIn is a great place for people who are looking for jobs. And honestly, what we're finding is that a lot of social media managers also have a huge role in recruitment. So LinkedIn is a great platform for that.
And then the last platform we're going to touch on is actually Pinterest. I feel like Pinterest often is forgotten when people are thinking of all of the social media channels, but it is extremely valuable, we're finding. So if you don't use Pinterest a lot, it's a collection of pins. And you typically go on there to look for inspiration, education, how-tos and tutorials, and just aspirational content. People usually are finding definitely more heavy on the women's side in terms of audience. But again, we're finding the discoverability on there is huge. And we found it by surprise, I feel like. One of my clients, the Girl Dad Show, another podcast, he has a separate merch component, and so it's a Shopify website, and so I connected the Shopify to Pinterest. So basically every time we uploaded a new product to the website, it would automatically go to Pinterest as a pin, and I wasn't renaming them. I didn't change any descriptions. It was just whatever was on Shopify went straight to Pinterest as like a shoppable pin, so it does show up in the shop part instead of the just organic search component. But just some parenting keywords thrown in as some cute little names didn't optimize it, didn't have a strategy, just was like, oh, that's cool, I can auto publish it. And we're consistently getting over 10,000 views a month on our products with no strategy, no actual content, just shirts that are for parents and kids that are cute and have some cutesy little pun names. And so we saw that and we were like, okay, if we actually tried to put some thought behind it, we could get some great results here. Even my own Pinterest that I really don't, like, I use it just as a user. I'm not trying. I've uploaded a couple of our old Hustlin' Honeys graphics, and they still are consistently getting a few hundred views every month.
Oh.
And yeah, I haven't redone anything to them since I just auto-published them from Instagram a year ago at this point, and they still rack in the views.
I have a crazy story with Pinterest. So one of our clients, Anthem, is like a luxury home goods store. I wanted to do Pinterest because it's home decor. So that is the exact audience that we're looking for. And so they have a Shopify too, but instead of the shirts and stuff, they have thousands and thousands of products. And so just linked it and stuff like that. I ran 1 week of ads, $100 per ad. So maybe $300 in total for 1 week. And then we never did anything else. And that was maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Guess how many monthly views we have?
Tell me.
Guess. I don't know.
Hundreds of thousands.
Okay, close. 250,000 views
Oh my
a month.
gosh.
Isn't that wild?
That's insane.
And so just like you were saying,
Yeah.
So Pinterest, because we have so many products, Pinterest just takes the descriptions and the titles and then puts our image that we uploaded and puts them into people's feed. And I just check in on it every once in a while. And so we're going to probably start doing ads, but we get purchases from it too.
Wow.
And I don't even do anything. And so one of our top traffic referrers is Pinterest.
Wow.
Yes. So it's Facebook and Instagram because we're doing Facebook and Instagram ads. Pinterest right under it. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane how Pinterest is just so...
It's like a little sneaky.
It is. It's
like you
a
never
secret
think
weapon.
of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I remember showing our boss there and and I was just like 250,000 impressions. It's showing up on people's all over the country, like all over, and maybe even, I don't even know how.
Yeah, ours is global.
Yeah, so it's just insane. And they do, now that our website's all good to go now, and we did a website redesign with this client, and so now we're just like, yeah, we should be doing Pinterest now because anyone in the US can get our products. But
and yeah, it's just so easy to share. So we're sharing from Shopify. You can also, like, from Instagram, say you're on a post of yours, there's like 3 little dots. You can just auto share it to Pinterest. You don't even have to manually do anything. I think it's the best place for like repurposing of content.
yeah, it's like a set it and forget it.
Yes,
thing. Like,
definitely.
Yes, you have to do a little work, but then once you set it in the initial, it just you let it go.
Yeah, the returns just keep coming.
It's insane.
Don't forget about Pinterest.
Pinterest. It's a tool in your back pocket.
Yes, add it in to your strategy.
Now we want to talk a little bit about the paid ad side. So when it comes to paid ads, we typically, I think our core ones are social media first. So Facebook, Instagram, and then we have run ads and are currently running ads on, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest. We've done those, and then other ad platforms we use are Google, of course, is a big one, Yelp, Angie List. We've tried Nextdoor, so we'll just focus on the social media ones because they actually have a relatively similar setup process and such. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, I would say Facebook is the king of the paid ads game. Facebook ads is just, even if you're not in the social media space, I think everyone just knows about them and their power and potential. I will say there was an iOS update that affected privacy. So since that's gone down, it's changed a lot of the ways you can target consumers, and there's a lot more transparency as a user and a consumer about things that are tracking you. So before that big switch, you could really get extremely granular with what you were tracking and the different interests and behaviors of your audience and really nail down your target person to see that ad, which has its pros and cons in terms of ethics. But as a marketer, it was amazing. As a human, it's kind of dicey, but since that changed, we don't even have to worry ethically because they've made it a little harder. But I still would say definitely compared to organically posting on Facebook, ads have a lot of potential. You can run them specifically for leads and have forms that people are entering their contact information in. They don't even have to go to your website. They can just stay on Facebook. There's traffic ones where you are trying to get them to go to your website or your shop or whatever you're advertising. You can use them for recruiting employees, just raising brand awareness and getting your content and your brand's name and logo out there to start hitting those touch points with consumers before you build up to showing them those more conversion-y lead generation ads that you're really using specifically to get instant sales. So there's definitely a lot of things you can accomplish just using the tool of Facebook ads. Like, it's a very diverse tool. And while it's gotten a little trickier to use, I think there was that at the phase of that switch of the iOS update, it was confusing and hard, but I think everyone adjusted by now and have gotten back to knowing how to use it and target appropriately for the limits we're set in now.
Yeah, and then there is also the pixel on Facebook too, or all platforms have them now. Pinterest calls theirs the tag, so they all have their own version, and then Instagram and Facebook are connected. So it's really just about clarifying, okay, I want the website visitors that have gone on Instagram or from Instagram specifically. So pixel is a major tool, a major advantage, and basically if you don't know what a pixel is, it's a piece of code that you put into your website so they can track who came from Facebook and what events took place on your website. So from that, did someone make a purchase? Did someone click on a specific page? Did someone add to cart? And then you can target those specific people based on their website activity. So there's a lot of different variations of ads that you can do based on that. You can target people who added to cart, and then you can do something cool. So if you have a Shopify also, you can, or even a Wix, if you have a Facebook merchant is what it's called, you connect whatever platform you're using for your sales. What you can do is you can connect it, and then Facebook will track what products they specifically looked at. Then you do an ad called a catalog sales, and it'll literally show them what were the products that they were looking at. So if you wanted to target people who were add to cart visitors on your website and they put stuff in their cart, you could say, hey, your cart misses you. Make these purchases now. You can get really granular like that in a variety of ways. And then Instagram, Kylie just went through all of Facebook. Instagram is connected to Facebook's backend too. So what I do on a lot of mine, and I don't know if you do it too, but I found that separating the two has done better. So I'll treat Facebook separately and Instagram separately for my ads. And then also I've learned that switching out creative needs to happen a lot faster on Instagram than it happens on Facebook. So that also helps by splitting them. If they're combined, whenever they were combined, I feel like Facebook cannibalized the entire process, because obviously Facebook wants to keep things on Facebook even though they are connected. But separating them, we realized, okay, Instagram is doing awesome, but only if you can keep up with it. So rotating out, duplicating ads and reposting them, it's a constant game, and you're constantly trying to get the lowest cost per click, but the most amount of people converting and determining what your return on ad spend is. It's very complex. And so honestly, if you want us to go deeper into paid ads and everything that we've learned about it, let us know and we can do an episode, because there's so much and we can really do it. It will be a very dry episode, so it might have to be like a special edition or something like that. But yeah, it would be a really in-depth and very valuable episode, because we've learned a lot over the years doing them. Facebook and Instagram, we typically use the most, but there are other channels that we use. So LinkedIn, Pinterest, and TikTok are all platforms that we have done ads on before.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I feel like all the social ad platforms are pretty similar. Pinterest's back end looks very similar to Facebook's. Like you're saying, they have the tag, where Facebook has the pixel. Even TikTok now, the only real differentiator is that it has to be a video, which the others you can use any sort of creative. And I will say, like, the tricky thing there is people really like to see authentic, organic, raw videos. So the kind of polished, beautiful video ad that you might think will work for you probably won't work well on TikTok, because even myself just scrolling through, as soon as I see something of that quality, I'm like, yep, that's an ad. Yeah. Obviously it says sponsored, but really disrupts the viewing process. With all of them, that's a great tip, is just adapting what you would be posting organically, but obviously just in a way that's a targeted advertisement, but trying to keep people from automatically scrolling because they know something is sponsored.
And then for Pinterest, what we found helps a lot is really testing the different types of content, creative keywords as well. The difference between Pinterest and all the other platforms is that it's very keyword and interest based, because Pinterest is a searchable platform, unlike the other ones. It really is a search engine platform. So it'll send people pins based on what they're searching. So your ads have to hit a level of interest, a level of keywords as well. So if you're doing Pinterest ads, that's going to require a lot of testing. When we were doing Pinterest ads, we were testing copy, content, creative, the keywords itself, budget. And we were running 25 different ads at one time, because really the content itself, that is articles you can do, videos you can do. The videos, do they have the logo in it? Is it just an organic clip that's not well put together? So we're testing all these different things, but we were able to come in with a client we were working on and help figure out what worked best in this super fast test, because we were doing all of these different ad variations at the same time. So that was really helpful, and Pinterest can go really far. Like I had mentioned, we did 3 different ads for a different client, and then now we're at 250,000 views a month just from running that first 1 week of ads, because it just boosted it out there initially, and then all of our products came following it. And then I've done a little bit of LinkedIn. I'm doing LinkedIn for a client right now. And it is a bit more expensive than the rest of them. And it's a little trickier because it is such a businessy. So you want to target people based on their employer, the industry that they're in. So it's the same backend. They have a tag system as well. So you can do retargeting if you want to. If you're doing conversions, that is an option. But they do have a minimum of $10 a day. If you are a business owner and you have a product specifically for B2B, absolutely LinkedIn is the best, but you might not want to do any other platform because you don't really need to.
And I'll just add as a last tip, a large majority of all these platforms for running ads have experts from the platform available. We've had varying levels of help with them, but they are available for you. Facebook has ad experts. Pinterest, we were working weekly with an ad expert for running those tests. So like I said, sometimes they're not the most helpful depending on how complex the issue is that you're dealing with, but especially if you're just getting started and it's your first few campaigns or it's something you've never tried before, they are a pretty good resource to help you get on the right track without just falling down the Google rabbit hole.
Or you can do what we did, because we found at some point that some are really good and some people are just trying to fill a quota, really. They don't really know too much, or we knew more than they did.
Yes.
Because they'd be really good for people that are, starting off, but then at one point we surpassed those people. And so another option is always you can look up ad experts and see what a good fit is, how much they know, can they answer your questions knowledgeably, back it up with stuff that they've done. And so that's the route that we went on to help us even more. Great.
Awesome.
To wrap up our episode, we have a question from the Hive. So, Kylie, the question was, what is your favorite social media platform and why?
So I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with it, but Instagram is definitely my favorite platform. I can't live with it, can't live without it. Like I was saying, they keep just throwing new things into the mix, and it kind of can be hard to predict, or why did this reel tank and this almost went viral, and it's like the same thing. It gets nitty-gritty, but overall, I'm a very visual person. I love photos and sharing photos. So even just like as a user, but just creating content, I love making the visual content like for Instagram. So I would say that's my favorite, even though at times it can frustrate me a bit.
I think I would agree. I would agree that Instagram, I think as a consumer, TikTok is probably my favorite right now. But as a business owner and a social media manager, Instagram is most likely my favorite. And same reasons really as Kylie, but I think that also on Instagram, it has compared to the other ones, there's a very clear path for the follower journey. We've described to some of our clients it as, that really broad reach, that brand awareness and that's reels and getting on the explore page and things like that. Then when you have your clients specifically and what you want them to keep continuing to follow you for and engaging with them, stories, and then using your feed posts and your profile itself and optimizing your profile the way it looks for people to actually make a decision to move forward with your brand. So it's kind of one-stop shop for your business. Heck, you can even shop on it, set up there's just everything on Instagram, and it has a very clearly defined path with all the different features. Those things are on other platforms, but not as strong as Instagram. So I would say personally to prioritize Instagram, unless that absolutely does not align with what business you're trying to do. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching or listening. It's always great to be back here, and we'll see you next time when we go live straight from the Hive.
Bye.